The world remembers Muhammad Ali as one of the greatest boxers who ever lived, a champion, a showman, a man whose words could command as much attention as his punches. But boxing was never the fight that defined him. The moment that changed his life came years before the championship belts, years before the roaring crowds. It happened on an ordinary street, with a stolen bicycle, and a young boy who refused to let one moment of loss decide the rest of his life. January 17th, 1942, Louisville, Kentucky, an ordinary American city. Few people there could have imagined that one restless young boy would one day become known across the world. Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. was born into a hard-working family. His father painted signs. His mother devoted herself to raising her children. Even as a child, Cassius loved competition. He loved attention, and he rarely believed that anything was beyond his reach. Confidence came naturally, long before greatness did. October 1954. 12-year-old Cassius proudly rode his brand-new red bicycle to the Columbia Auditorium. It wasn't simply a bicycle. It was freedom. It was the finest thing he owned. When he returned, it was gone. He looked again, then again, hoping he had made a mistake, but the empty space never changed. Confusion became anger. Anger became determination. He wanted only one thing: to find the person who had taken it. Cassius believed someone had stolen his bicycle. He couldn't yet know that life was quietly giving him something far greater. Looking for help, Cassius reported the theft to a local police officer. His name was Joe Martin. Cassius promised that if he found the thief, he would fight him. Joe Martin smiled. "If you want to fight, you'd better learn how first." It sounded like ordinary advice. It wasn't. Joe Martin also trained young boxers. Neither of them knew it. But one brief conversation had just changed the direction of an entire life. A few days later, Cassius stepped inside a boxing gym for the very first time. Leather gloves hung from worn hooks. Heavy bags swayed with every punch. Jump ropes struck the wooden floor. Again and again. No cameras, no applause, just young fighters working toward dreams no one else could yet see. Cassius came to learn how to fight. Instead, he found direction. The stolen bicycle was never recovered, but something far more valuable had taken its place. A dream, a purpose, a future. Training soon became routine. Every afternoon looked almost exactly the same. The jump rope, the heavy bag, the endless repetition, day after day. Week after week, year after year, greatness rarely announces itself. It hides inside ordinary days, repeated often enough to become extraordinary. The angry boy who had entered the gym was slowly becoming a disciplined young fighter. Local victories became regional championships. Regional titles became national tournaments. The opponents grew stronger. The crowds grew larger. So did Cassius's ambition. One day, he said, he would become the greatest. Many smiled. Some laughed. Cassius never argued. He simply kept training. He simply kept winning. In 1960, 18-year-old Cassius Clay arrived in Rome. Fight after fight, his speed, his precision, and his confidence set him apart. When the tournament ended, an Olympic gold medal rested around his neck. The world believed It had discovered a new champion. Cassius believed he had only reached the starting line. The greatest fight of his life was still ahead. Turning professional, Cassius Clay quickly proved he wasn't like anyone else. Most heavyweights relied on power. Cassius relied on speed. He moved lightly, he struck quickly, and he spoke with a confidence few had ever seen. Before many fights, he predicted exactly how they would end. Fans were entertained. Opponents were irritated. The media couldn't ignore him. For the first time, boxing had a fighter. People wanted to hear as much as they wanted to watch. Victory followed victory. So did the headlines. "I am the greatest." To many, it sounded like arrogance. To Cassius, it was something different. He believed words could shape belief, and belief could shape reality. Long before the world accepted him, he had already accepted himself. Winning made him famous. Belief made him extraordinary. By early 1964, Cassius Clay had defeated every challenger placed before him. Only one name remained: Sonny Liston, the heavyweight champion, feared, respected. Many believed the fight was already decided. Some wondered whether Cassius would even survive it. Cassius listened. He smiled. Then he climbed into the ring anyway. February 25, 1964, Miami Beach. The opening bell rang. Liston came forward. Cassius refused to stand still. He circled. He slipped. He danced. Round after round, the impossible began to look possible. Before the 7th round, Sonny Liston's corner stopped the fight. The underdog had become the heavyweight champion of the world. History changed in a single night. Only days later, Cassius Clay made another decision. He announced that he would no longer use the name he had been born with. From that moment forward, he would be known as Muhammad Ali. The decision reflected his religious beliefs and his association with the Nation of Islam. Years later, he embraced Sunni Islam. Many people debated the change. Ali never did. For him, the name wasn't simply different. It represented who he believed he truly was. Inside the ring, Ali kept winning. Outside it, he became impossible to ignore. He entertained reporters. He challenged expectations. He turned interviews into performances. Crowds arrived to watch a boxing match. They left, remembering the man. There had never been a heavyweight champion quite like Muhammad Ali. By the age of 25, Muhammad Ali appeared to have everything: fame, success, the heavyweight championship. His future looked limitless, but history rarely tests people when life is easy. A choice was approaching, one that would cost him far more than any opponent ever could. The greatest fight of Muhammad Ali's life was about to begin. By the mid-1960s, America was changing. The Vietnam War had become impossible to ignore. Draft notices arrived in mailboxes across the country. Young men were being called to serve. Muhammad Ali knew his name could soon be among them. Whatever decision he made, it would never remain private. The entire nation would be watching. In 1967, the moment arrived. When his name was called, Muhammad Ali did not step forward. He explained that his religious beliefs would not allow him to take part in the war. The decision lasted only a few seconds. Its consequences would last for years. Some admired his conviction. Others condemned him. No one remained indifferent. The reaction was immediate. Muhammad Ali was stripped of the heavyweight championship. His boxing license was suspended. The champion, who had stood at the very top, could no longer step into the ring. The belts were gone. The crowds disappeared. The career he had spent a lifetime building seemed to vanish almost overnight. They could take away his title. They could keep him out of the ring, but they could never take away the principles he refused to surrender. Courtrooms replaced arenas. Lecture halls replaced championship fights. Microphones replaced the opening bell. Muhammad Ali continued speaking. He explained what he believed. Some audiences welcomed him. Others challenged him. Years passed. The ring waited. So did he. While the appeal moved slowly through the courts, professional boxing moved on without him. New champions emerged. New rivalries were born. The biggest nights no longer belonged to Muhammad Ali. Nearly 3.5 years passed without a single professional fight. Many believed the former champion would never return. Perhaps his greatest victory had already been fought. History had not finished with him yet. Nearly 3.5 years later, Muhammad Ali finally returned. The lights still burned brightly. The cheers still filled the arena, but everything else had changed. He was no longer the undefeated champion. He was simply another contender, a man forced to begin again. Every victory ahead would have to be earned. Every doubt would have to be answered. Once more, one fight at a time. March 8, 1971, Madison Square Garden, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, two undefeated heavyweights. One night, the entire boxing world had been waiting for. For 15 relentless rounds, neither man gave an inch. Every exchange felt like history unfolding. Then, in the 15th round, Frazier's left hook sent Ali to the canvas. Ali rose before the count was finished, but when the final bell rang, victory belonged to Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali had lost for the first time. Many believed his greatest days were over. Ali didn't. Defeat didn't change his destination. It only changed the road he had to take. Muhammad Ali returned to the gym. The jump rope, the heavy bag, the endless repetition. Nothing glamorous, nothing easy. Just another day, becoming another step forward. One fight, he became another victory. Then another. Slowly, the questions faded. The belief never did. Ali wasn't chasing who he had been. He was becoming who he still could be. A new champion stood in his way. George Foreman, young, explosive, almost unstoppable. He had destroyed Joe Frazier. He had overpowered Ken Norton. Many believed no one could survive his strength. Muhammad Ali saw something different. He didn't need to hit harder. He needed to think smarter. Sometimes the greatest weapon is patience. October 30th, 1974. Kinshasa, Zaire. Millions watched, expecting George Foreman to overwhelm Muhammad Ali. Instead, Ali leaned back against the ropes. He absorbed the punishment. He waited, round after round. Foreman spent his strength. Ali protected his own. The strategy would become famous as rope-a-dope. Then, in the 8th round, Ali exploded. A rapid combination. Foreman fell. Against every prediction, Muhammad Ali was champion once again. Winning back the title didn't end the story. Joe Frazier was still waiting. Their rivalry had grown beyond championships. It had become a battle of pride, respect, and legacy. One final fight would decide one of boxing's greatest trilogies. Neither man knew the price it would demand. October 1, 1975. Manila. The heat was relentless. So were the fighters. Round after round, neither man gave way. Each punch asked another question. Each round demanded another sacrifice. After the 14th, Joe Frazier's trainer stopped the fight. Muhammad Ali remained champion. Later, Ali described it, victory, the closest thing to dying. Victory had never cost so much. The victories didn't last forever. Neither did youth. Muhammad Ali kept fighting. He won. He lost. New challengers arrived. New champions emerged. But time never stopped moving. In 1978, Ali became the first boxer in history to win the undisputed heavyweight championship 3 separate times. It was another record, another triumph. Yet every fight asked a little more from his body, and the body always remembers. Muhammad Ali retired from professional boxing in 1981. For decades, his speed had amazed the world. Now, another opponent had entered his life. A few years later, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's syndrome. His hands moved more slowly. His voice grew quieter. The quickness that had once defined him began to fade. His courage never did. Atlanta, 1996. The Olympic Stadium fell silent. Muhammad Ali walked toward the cauldron. His hands trembled. The torch did not. Millions watched. Not a former champion, not an aging boxer. They were watching courage. Without speaking, Muhammad Ali reminded the world that strength isn't measured by how hard we strike. Sometimes it is measured by how bravely we endure. The flame rose into the night. So did the man who lit it. Long after the final bell, Muhammad Ali continued to inspire. He met presidents. He visited hospitals. He supported humanitarian causes. In 2005, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. People no longer spoke only about the boxer he had been. They spoke about the man he had become. Some champions are remembered for winning titles. Muhammad Ali was remembered for changing lives. June 3rd, 2016. Muhammad Ali passed away at the age of 74. News spread across the world. Tributes arrived from presidents, from athletes, from world leaders, from ordinary people whose lives he had never met, yet somehow had still touched. The final bell had sounded, But some echoes never truly fade. History remembers the victories, the championships, the Olympic gold medal, the impossible comebacks. But greatness was never measured only by what Muhammad Ali achieved. It was measured by what he refused to give up: his voice, his beliefs, his courage. Championships belong to their time. Character belongs to every generation. That is why his story still matters. More than 60 years earlier, a 12-year-old boy stood quietly on a street in Louisville, looking at the empty place where his bicycle had disappeared. He believed he had lost something precious. He couldn't see what the future already knew. That stolen bicycle had not ended his story. It had begun it. The bicycle was never found. But purpose was, courage was, hope was, and a legacy that still inspires millions today. Every remarkable life begins with a moment. That seems ordinary. A conversation, a choice, a loss, a stolen bicycle. We rarely recognize the turning points while we are living them. Only later do we realize they changed everything. If Muhammad Ali's journey has reminded you of anything, perhaps it is this: the greatest fights are not always fought inside a ring. Sometimes they are fought inside ourselves. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. If you enjoy stories that reveal the extraordinary lives behind familiar names, consider subscribing to Story Reverie, because history isn't only remembered, it is rediscovered, one remarkable life at a time. Until next time, keep wondering, keep learning, and never stop searching for the stories that shape our world.